I'm Rebecca Clements again from Moz, VP of HR there. And I have to say, it is a thrill to be here with this international crowd with HR leaders from such large, global, well-known brands and companies. And as you said, that I represent something very much at the other end of the spectrum. I represent the startup voice. So with that, let me tell you just a little bit about Moz. I won't talk about myself. You can read a little bit about who I am. But Moz, we are a technology startup based in Seattle. We build marketing, analytics, and social metrics software, so used by marketers primarily. We are VC funded. We have aspirations to go public. The plan is by the end of 2017 to be public company ready. We'll see. We've got a long ways to go. Let's see what else. Size-wise, we're 160 employees right now and 35 million in revenue. And I don't have a slide on this, or a video, but I do have to tell you that, of course, we offer all of the things that startups offer. We offer ping pong, and we have scooters, and we have catered breakfasts, and we have catered lunches, and we have drinks, wine, beer, and every other drink of your choice every day. And then we have something that not every startup has. We have Moz dogs. So you can bring your dog to work. And so we have dogs running around everywhere as well as people. Sometimes the dogs are more beloved, actually, than the employees. When the employee leaves, recently a guy named Frank left, and everyone went, oh, Sumo's leaving. So my dog Milo is not yet well behaved enough to join me, but one day he will be there. And here we go. I'm going to get this. So let me start with our philosophy at Moz. Around engage, or really around people in general. At Moz, we take a whole person approach. And what I mean by that is, and this builds on what Sophia said, we believe in and care very much about the health, the happiness, the well-being, and the performance of our employees. I think a lot of companies, they focus mostly on performance, right? It's a business. Got to care about how people perform, and either they're in or they're out. We care about the whole person. And we believe that what happens in one part of a person's life absolutely impacts every other part of their life. I think you said that as well, Sophia. So we build engagement programs and HR programs that really take care of that whole person. It's a little slow on the slides. So let me start with what I think is really our key engagement strategy, and that is our set of core values. And we call our core values, or we refer to them as the TAG-FEE code. And I'll tell you what TAG-FEE stands for, but first I have to introduce you to Roger Mosbot. Roger is our mascot. Roger embodies all things good and all things TAG-FEE, so he'll appear during the presentation. But TAG-FEE for us is really more than a set of core values. TAG-FEE is really how we do business. Right? It inspires how we build products. It inspires how we communicate with our customers. Certainly inspires our culture and how we interact and communicate with one another. So here's what TAG-FEE stands for. It is an acronym. So transparent. I think we've heard this word a lot the last couple of days. Moz, I've never worked for a company that's been more open, more honest, more willing to share the good, the bad, the ugly. A lot of companies I've been at, and I've worked at great companies, like to message things. We don't message anything. I don't write anything for the CEO. She writes all of her own stuff. And we're just very, very direct and open. The next, authentic. And I think Tina talked a little bit about this. We expect all employees, and by the way, I didn't say this, we refer to our employees as Mozers, so I will today as well. So we expect all Mozers to come to work with their genuine self, right? I think Tina said this so well, and I wish I could remember. She said that, oftentimes you're sort of pushed down into the norm and to sort of conform. We don't want Mozers to do that, and that's not the expectation. Oh, and by the way, on authentic, our CEO, Sarah, often refers to it as we aspire to bring our best authentic selves to work. So if I'm someone that gets easily agitated and I kind of get fired up and I like to yell at people, that might be being authentic, but that's not our best authentic self. Generous. So generous, the G stands for generous, and we are generous of our time, of our energy, our resources, both people and financial. I have to share this since I'm amongst my people here. I've been at Moz a year, and so for the first 6 months, I'd bring an idea or a thought to Sarah or a recommendation, and one of the first things she'd always say is, do you think we're being generous enough? And I thought, okay, this is new. Okay, this is a good problem to have. So very, very generous environment, and I think you'll see with our engagement programs that absolutely a lot of generosity. The F stands for fun. Sarah, our CEO, has said that if she could do a do-over on this, she would put positivity in here because, yes, there's a lot of laughter. We don't take ourselves too seriously, but really this is about building positivity into the work environment. But of course, if F was a P, it would be tag P. And that's a problem on some levels. You get that joke. That was just a little joke. Okay, good. The first E stands for empathetic. And at Moz, we're always seeking to understand the other perspective. We talk a lot about assuming best intentions, assuming good intentions in the workplace. So if we enter into conflict, I need to, think that you have my best intentions and mine yours. And then the final is for exceptional. And exceptional refers to going the extra mile. It also refers to not being satisfied with the norm, with average, with mediocrity. So that is tag V, very, very core, very foundation. And I'd say it's a key engagement strategy. We hire to this, of course, and then we talk a lot about it starting on day one. All right. So before I jump in to the 3 different programs that I want to spotlight, I'll just say that I think we have a lot to learn from each other. I've learned a lot over the course of 2 days. And even though our companies, many of us may appear fairly different on paper, right? Big, large global giants, small tech startup. I think we do have a lot to learn from each other, and you never know. Some of the things that I may share with you may actually fly in your organizations, so I ask you to come with curiosity and an open mind. So here we go. 3 different programs that I want to spotlight, and these aren't purely engagement programs, but they are programs that have resulted in huge employee engagement for us. So paid vacation, our professional coaching benefit, and then finally, our quest for building a culture of real-time feedback. And I'm going to start with paid. And what I would say first is that is not a typo. The first time I saw this, I went, paid. I think they got an extra paid in there. That's, someone should correct that. We really do mean paid vacation, and I'll explain it. And paid vacation, if we go back to that whole person approach, really focuses on the health and the happiness of our employees. And so I'll start by saying that we provide paid time off just like all of you do for vacation, holiday, sick leave, emergencies. We don't do anything really innovative there. It's a PTO program. Of course, I'm speaking with a European audience, and you offer far more generous time off benefits than we do in the States, but ours is pretty competitive. So nothing particularly innovative there. But what we do at Moz is we take it one step further, and we put our money where our mouth is. And so we pay you for your time off, and then we actually pay for your vacation expenses as well. So not only are vacations encouraged, they're expected. We expect everyone to spend their paid benefit. So here's how it works. Each calendar year, employees may spend up to $3,000 US dollars in vacation expenses. And there aren't a lot of guidelines around it. You can spend it on airfare. You can spend it on hotels. You can spend it on food. You can spend it on an expensive bottle of wine. You can board your pet with it. You can fly out grandma and grandpa to care for your kids. We don't care. You can take anyone with you. We don't care. And that's how it works. I do want to point out that this is Rand, our founder, and his wife, Geraldine, and that is Sarah, our CEO, and her husband, Eric. They were on paid vacation together. Well, one little thing, 2 things, actually. You do have to spend at least 1 night away from home. So this is not a staycation benefit. It really is like go out and get out of your routine, see the world. Lots and lots of people travel with us, of course, far away. And then also, you, the employee, have to be on the paid vacation. So recently, an employee asked us, I think it was a guy asked us and said, so could I send my family on paid vacation? We're like, no. You have to go on the paid vacation. So that is paid vacation. But there is a catch, because there's always a catch, right? The catch is you have to show us pictures when you get back. So we consider this sort of the Moz tax, or, if there ain't pics, it didn't happen kind of thing. And so Mozers, every month, we send out a little request, and they go up on our Facebook site, and they absolutely comply with this and are very happy to comply with it. And this is where the engagement comes in, right? I mean, when your employer sends you away to see a part of the world you've never seen before, to have an experience you've never had before, to spend time with your loved ones, and it's paid for, at least in part, by us, by Moz. That builds engagement, that builds loyalty, and it builds on itself. It also, what we found is, it makes Moz fans out of family members. You can imagine, right? Like, someone's thinking about making a change, but they got that vacation coming up. Like, come on, we got that paid benefit coming. So it builds Moz fans on the home front as well. And I just have to point this out. It looks like Jackie did her paid in prison somewhere. I'm not sure, but I'm not sure if we reimbursed for that. That's a joke. Everybody laugh. I think she was at Alcatraz. Okay. And so this is just a freebie slide just thrown in. We track this for fun. We always have a map going as to where people spend time. Obviously, lots in the U.S., Europe, some in Asia. I don't know if we have anyone here from South America, but I know our CMO just got back from Argentina, so we do see lots and lots of the world with paid. Now, what I don't have is I don't have metrics on this. I'm not going to show you what the ROI is and why we continue to do it and all of that, but I have 3 stories to share with you that I think you'll enjoy. So very quickly, Emily, who's got the Moz t-shirt on there, Emily started less than a year ago at Moz, and she shared the story that her son was diagnosed with brain seizures. And so all of their resources were going into caring for him, as you can imagine. And when she got to Moz, surprise, surprise, she and her family took this wonderful vacation to Hawaii, and they really needed it, right? They were stressed, they were strapped. And so paid, in part, made this happen. The second story, I'm sorry, the picture is really dark. Just imagine Maura there with bright red hair and her mom beside her. She just says that, every time she sees her mom, she's 76, could be the last. And so recently they spent 2 weeks in Paris together because of paid, and they spent 2 full days in the Louvre and had a wonderful time. And then the third is Jeremy. Jeremy has traveled to China a number of times, but he tells this great story. I had to reduce it, of spending 2 days and 20 miles with a local guide who did not speak any English. And throughout that 2 days, they developed this bond and this friendship. And I love the final line. I just have to read it. This friendship, our long walk together, and the spectacular views in this strange, remote place combined to create one of the most memorable experiences of my life. And so paid helped make that happen. So that is paid. I'm going to segue. I can just touch on each of these for a few minutes. So professional coaching. Going back to that whole person experience, professional coaching appeals primarily to the well-being and performance, certainly to the growth and development of our Mozers as well. And here's my experience with coaching. My experience is executive coaching, right? And not just any executives. Executives that are often struggling or underperforming. And so what do? We hire them a coach, and the coach is going to fix them and make them all better, or they're going to be, in, or they're going to be out. So that's my personal professional experience, primarily with executive coaching. There are a few exceptions. But at Moz, again, we have a very different perspective. We turn that on its ear. We believe that all employees should have the benefit of a professional coach. And when, I was not there at the time, but when we approached Sarah, our CEO, with this idea, she loved it because she knew firsthand the benefit, the personal benefit and impact that she had experienced with a professional coach. So it started from there. Couple things here. Fundamentally, we believe that what's good for Mozers is in fact good for Moz. So what's good for Mozers is good for Moz. And even if we didn't think this program had an impact on the bottom line or had a positive impact on the business, I think we would choose to offer it anyway. Again, I don't have a lot of measurement on this yet, but we believe we have a responsibility and an accountability to grow and develop our people. I know you all do too, but we believe people grow and learn and develop in different ways. One, they can go to conferences, right? They can participate in group learning, in classes. And we think many, many people benefit and grow from that one-on-one relationship and that one-on-one professional insight. So we partnered with a company called Halo. It's a professional coaching organization based in the Seattle area. They have 12 coaches in their roster, and so they have lots of different styles that are sure to, to mesh for really any interest or any need from a Moz employee. Before I jump in and talk about the coaching program itself, there are a couple things here that we historically have not tracked much with this, except participation. And so what we know is that over 100 Mazers have participated in the program since its inception. I think it was 2 years ago. But that's really all that we know about it. We don't require Mazers to tell their manager that they're participating. Highly confidential. It can be for personal or professional reasons, any reason at all. We really don't. We don't sort of police that in any way. But what we do believe is that people who find benefit in it are the ones who are participating, and that there's a payoff. There's a virtuous cycle in that. So a couple things that we're doing moving forward, however, are to leverage some of the insights that we've gained from it and to build on the stuff that's worked so far, and then to build in just a little bit of measurement, because I do think that's lost. I think that's important. So there are two different aspects to the program right now, or two different sort of approaches to it, tracks. The first is the growth track. So what we've done is, I just said that anyone can participate in the program for any reason. That is still true, but we have identified 4 tracks that were the most popular over the 2 years. So 4 different tracks, and as you enter into a track, if you're a Mazer, you send an email, you are assigned a coach based on style and interest. Typically an SDI assessment, strengths deployment inventory, is done on the front end. And then you may have 10 sessions, one-on-one sessions with that coach over the course of a year. And then you can start up again next year if you like. You can have more than that as well. We're flexible, but that's sort of the guideline. And then what we're also going to start doing is pre- and post-survey feedback to build a little bit of measurement so we better understand the impact. So that's one sort of, we call that the transformational growth track. The second is on-demand coaching, and this is new. We just started this. And so on-demand is a situation where, you've got a hot issue, maybe you've got a presentation coming up. I practiced my presentation with my coach. It was great. Or, you just came out of a meeting and there was conflict and you need someone to talk to. So you're not assigned a coach, but rather you're paired with someone quickly to talk through the issue. So a hot issue, we're also going to explore doing some two-way facilitation in the event that there is, again, potentially some conflict or differences that the coach could partner with. I do a lot of that as well. I mean, I'm not at all threatened by this. I think it's a beautiful thing to have some additional partners. And then finally, we're piloting office hours. And so we now have a coach on site for 3 hours every afternoon. And Mazers can just drop in and either learn about coaching or talk about what's on their mind. Typically, that'll be a hot issue. So those are the 2 tracks. And again, like I said, I don't have a lot of measurement, but I do have 2 stories to share. The first, Isla, who's a member of our marketing team. Isla's been with the company about a year, and when she first started, she came from a situation where it was damaging. It was hard on her. She didn't want to bring that baggage to Moz, and so she immediately started with a coach and worked with the coach to put the past behind and then to start fresh at Moz, and to also help her understand and see how her work is perceived, because that was getting in the way. So very, very successful coaching story. The second is with Michael, who's a member of our technical project management team. And he was recently promoted to manage the team because the manager left. And so his focus with coaching was more of career development and really helping him navigate that career path. And again, very, very successful, and he's very much recommending it to other Mazers. So that is our coaching. By the way, is it better if I stand still? Okay. All right. And then the last, segueing to the last topic that I want to share with you, and this is a presentation all on its own, so I've really highly condensed it, but it is our move away from traditional performance reviews and to building this culture of real-time feedback. And not real-time feedback like the bear that Ruth showed this morning, not that kind of feedback, but real-time conversation. And so, and let me just say that in terms of that whole person philosophy, I think this appeals to, performance for sure, and I would say happiness, potentially all of them, well-being as well. So what happened is a little story to start with. I started at Moz a year ago. 2 months into it, Sarah, our CEO, sent me this little email, and the email just read, it was one line, and it read, "Sometimes I dream of a world without performance reviews, ... And I was like, oh my gosh, I dream about that all the time. Maybe this is finally the place where we could do this thing. And so that's where it started. And, I don't know about all of you, maybe show of hands, but I mean, how many of you experience some measurable pain in doing annual reviews? This is the interactive part. Yes, all right. And how many of you, I mean, I've spent most of my career in search of that perfect performance review tool and process. It's ever elusive. I can never seem to get my hands on it. I mean, have you experienced that as well? Yeah, a little bit so. Okay, well, so we felt that there's a better way. Now, our company is full of millennials, and I know you're thinking, yes, I am one of the oldest people that work at that company, at Moz. So full of millennials, they want real-time feedback, the once-a-year thing. We actually did them twice a year. Wasn't working, and the return wasn't there. So we got alignment with the executive team, and we decided to move forward with this. And you could argue that maybe we were sort of suckered into the notion that, oh my gosh, wouldn't it be great to not fill out those forms twice a year? But I'm here to tell you, and it's no surprise, that real-time feedback is a whole lot harder. Now, I think we knew that going into it, but we learned some things. It's been less than a year, but we've learned some things certainly along the way. First of all, I want to share that we approached this change as cultural change, not as programmatic change. What I mean by that is, I mean, I felt really, really strongly that we can't simply swap out, semi-annual reviews and swap in another program, that it had to become the way we do business. So there were a couple of components here. I'm just going to build the slide. So the first thing that we knew that we had to get good at and build discipline around was quarterly priority setting. We had a quarterly cadence in our company with teams and departments setting goals and objectives. We used the OKR, which is objectives and key results. I got to rush through. Quarterly check-ins as well, so we knew that there at least had to be a checkpoint each quarter. Peer feedback was going to be a big part of this. And then one-on-ones had to take on more meaning because there was not going to be that review happening twice a year. So we did some work with our managers and embarked on a managerial training program as well that we call Manager Mojo, and that's underway. And we were thinking in total that this will in part begin on this culture of real-time feedback. We also knew that we needed a partner, and so we are using 7 Geese, which is a social performance management tool. I don't know if anyone's familiar with it. I know you can't read that from the back, but what 7 Geese does for us is helps, I don't want to use the word document, but helps manage some of this process and conversation. So with 7 Geese, you can provide peer feedback, peer recognition. You can facilitate one-on-one conversations with your manager. And then finally, individuals and teams can set their OKRs, their objectives, using this tool. And so we implemented 7 Geese company-wide. I encourage you to check them out. It's a teeny tiny company in Vancouver, Washington. We don't want them to go anywhere, so that would be good. Another big learning very, very quickly was that people aren't naturally good at giving and receiving feedback. And so what we've embarked on and will continue to be doing for a long time is helping people get good at giving and receiving feedback. We invited the Triad group out. They've written difficult conversations and thanks for the feedback. And they did a session with the entire company, mostly focused on how to receive feedback. And so we'll continue to do feedback training sessions over time. And three more quick slides. Little bit of metrics here. This is not true baseline. We did these. We did a survey 4 months into it, so December of last year, and we asked employees, are you having consistent one-on-ones with your managers? Because we knew that was critical, and we knew they weren't happening all the time. 81% said yes. So about 4 months into it, we felt we had made a little bit of progress, although I did not do a true baseline when we started. And then, do you have clarity on your objectives and priorities? And 92% said yes. Now, I'm not going to be happy with 81% on consistent one-on-one meetings with managers until we get much closer to 100, but I thought that was a good start. And then I was pretty happy actually with clarity on objectives. We also asked them a couple more things that I'll share. Are you getting enough performance-related feedback from your managers? And then are you getting enough performance-related feedback from peers? Managers, 85% said, yeah, I'm getting enough from my manager. So again, not happy with that until it gets closer to 100, but if I were to compare that to other companies as a benchmark, I mean, I'm sure it would be much higher. So a little bit of consolation there. And then you can see we have tons of work to do on the peer feedback side because we are a somewhat matrixed work environment. So we have a lot of work to do in terms of making sure that peer feedback piece is happening. One thing we're doing is utilizing 7 Geese more for peer feedback, and then also some of the training that we'll be doing. Because my goal is to not have a program around peer feedback, is to get people comfortable and good at having conversations. And so finally, wrap up my last slide. It's so funny. When I put this slide together, I thought, yeah, like, philosophically, it's a journey that we're on. Every single presenter has said it's a journey. So I echo that. It is a journey. It's a journey on 2 fronts. One, I don't think we're ever going to get to the place where real-time feedback, we're done with it, that we've crossed a finish line, that we can declare victory. I think we're always going to be working on it, just like we were always working on annual reviews. And then I also think that employee engagement in general is a journey for all of us. And so I hope we can lean in and learn from each other throughout that process. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. I loved what you said about the feedback and about actually cancellation of the former process, which we all know usually doesn't work. But I wanted to ask, how do you ensure transparency in promotions and sometimes exits of employees if they have nothing written?
Well, they do have something written, right, via 7 Geese. But what I would contend, now it's easier in a small company, and maybe as we approach 300 and 500, we'll have to rethink some of this. But I would contend that good managers, and these are relatively small teams, good managers should know, with or without a review, with or without words written down, who's ready for that next step. So in their one-on-ones, they should be having conversations. At their quarterly check-ins, they should be having conversations around, part of that is around career development. I wasn't able to dig into all of that, but, and that piece is a work in progress. We're working towards absolutely no surprises when it comes time to your increase, because we do increases twice a year, not once a year, twice a year. Yeah, and we're not there yet. Anyone else? Thank you so much. Thank you. Appreciate it.